The console hums silently.
The body is still, quiet, tense. The mind, deeply immersed inside another world. Take all the prejudices you may have about video games and remove them. For you're about to be illuminated to the true way video games can affect us in a personal way. To help find answers on a deep personal level, I created an interview with one of my dear friends. Video games are positive influences that can shape us. Moreover, they can transform our views on life, others, and ourselves. They can open doorways to endless imagination and also soothe our stress. Video games are educational and relaxing for adolescents because they ease stress, promote open-mindedness, and increase intelligence. Most people look at video games as just instruments of leisure for adolescents with nothing to do proactively. However, when adolescents play these video games, they are stimulating their minds in active ways that require complex thought and concentration. In a survey that I used to come closer to understanding my fellow students, I found varying opinions from them. How often do you play video games? And what are the reasons that you play that often?
I play video games pretty much every day because they're just so entertaining that they lead me to play them every day.
What are your favorite types of video games?
Favorite types of video games are games with action, adventure, dynamic storyline, various characters.
And what are your favorite games?
I pretty much play the typical, average teenage video games: Call of Duty, Battlefield, Assassin's Creed, all the famous titles.
What kind of stress are you under every day?
I go under the pretty much typical stress for a teenager, like girlfriend, work, except I don't really have a job, so trying to get a job, grades, housework, just normal, typical things for people our age.
Do you feel that playing video games releases, eases, and appeases your stress to where it's almost non-existent?
I would say that video games do release my stress to the point where it's almost non-existent. It's not entirely gone, but video games certainly help remove it.
One of the questions on my survey asked, do you feel that playing video games releases, eases, and appeases your stress to where it's almost non-existent? To this question I had many answers, but the one that stood out to me said, yes, because for me, video games allow me to escape reality. Another one of the questions on the survey asked, do you find video games relaxing? If so, then why? A unique individual responded, yes, I forget every problem that has been bothering me that day. Do you find video games relaxing? And if so, why do you find them this way?
Of course, I find video games relaxing because it takes you away from everything else. It puts you in this separate world where you can be another person instead of who you are in the actual world.
Do you feel that video games make you open to more ideas and creative thinking?
I would say that video games do help me with ideas and creative thinking because they give you different perspectives that you could think off of, and they present more ideas that you could use in real life. And for creative thinking, you have this pretty much database in your mind of other situations.
What are some of those creative thoughts and ideas that seem to grow from you because of video games?
Well, because of video games, you could think of fantasy worlds based off of those ideas, and other scenarios in the games and even in real life, how it could have played out differently.
How do you feel when you're playing video games?
When I'm playing video games, I feel not myself. I feel like someone else, and I'm entirely disconnected from anything else. The stress of the world is just gone because I'm not myself anymore, and I've fully immersed myself in that game. Everything else is gone, and I'm just focused on the primary task at hand in that game.
How do you feel when you're not playing video games?
When I'm not playing video games, I feel how I am most of the time, but if I go a long amount of time without playing video games, I feel kind of lost and less emotional and less, I feel disconnected from the world because I haven't played them in a while, because I'm used to playing them so much that it's mainly like half of who I am. So without them, I'm basically losing who I am.
Would you suggest others to play video games? And why would you suggest this to others?
People who don't play video games, I would highly advise them to at least try it out. Like, you don't have to become addicted to them, or you don't have to play them every day, but I highly suggest they play them, because it does release stress, and it does help you out, and it lets you see, like, other things. It lets you see new things. Like, if you haven't ever played a video game, you see this entirely different world that other people have created for your entertainment, and you learn to like it and enjoy it, and then you begin playing it, and you see how fun it is, and how it takes you away from everything else.
What do you seem to like so much about video games, and what makes them so interesting?
I enjoy them, as I've said before, like, I enjoy them so much because it just takes you away from everything, and it stimulates your mind to do everything and have all this like adventure and action go on, and it's not being real, so there are really no consequences to it, so you can do whatever you want in that world without anything changing in real life, and it takes you away from like all your stress and everything, and it puts you in that world of just have fun and do whatever you want without there being consequences.
How long have you played video games?
I've pretty much played video games my entire life. Like, growing up, I've seen my dad play Metal Gear and Gran Turismo and games like that on the PlayStation, and eventually I got to the point where I got my own Sega Genesis, and I would play Sonic the Hedgehog, and it'd be like the greatest thing ever, because I didn't know what was going on. It was just flashing lights and colors, but it was still like the most fun I'd ever had.
Would you say that video games have a profound effect on your life? In what way do they have this effect?
I feel like they do, because they've done so much for me. Like, whenever I'm like sad or stressed out, I play video games, and it eases my mind of that burden.
Do you agree with the statement, video games are educational and relaxing for adolescents because they ease stress, promote open-mindedness, and increase intelligence?
Yes, I do.
Why do you feel that way about this statement?
I feel like I would agree with it because it's true. Video games are educational and relaxing at the same time, because they ease your mind but also help increase like its abilities. Like, it increases your decision-making skills, your alertness, and like your ability to like solve problems and other things. And for the relaxing part, basically it's taking you away from everything else, so it would be relaxing.
How could you rate your everyday weekly stress, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest?
To rate my weekly stress, I'd say about 8 or 9.
Why do you play video games when there are many other hobbies that can stimulate your mind? What makes video games so much different than those hobbies?
Well, with other hobbies, say like sports or music or any of those, you're still in like the current world. And video games, I mean, reading, it does take you to another world per se, but video games, you can visualize how that world looks, and you are like a different person, and you can see it and interact with the rest of the world. It's not how other hobbies are, where you can't really do much with a different world, but video games take you to an entirely different world, and you're not even yourself, you're somebody else, but you still feel a connection with that person that you are.
Do you feel more aware and intelligent during and after you play video games? And why do you think you feel this?
Definitely during video games, I feel more aware and intelligent, because it leads you to focus on the game itself, and after it pretty much enhances your decision-making skills, and like you're still in that like alert phase that something's gonna happen, so you are more aware. And depending on what game it is, you sometimes would feel more intelligent. Like, say you solved something or did something important, then you would feel intelligent after.
I also asked the question to see if my fellow students felt more aware and intelligent after and during they play video games. To this question, one individual responded, "Yes, but video games also inspired me to do things outside the world, which can make me intelligent in the game and the real world." This was an answer I was searching for. This showed me that someone was impacted by video games in such a way that they brought their experience to the real world in a beneficial way. All my research helped me to prove that video games are relaxing and educational for adolescents.